The Iliad by Virgil, considered one of the greatest books in human history. It is a complete piece of crap, okay? It's propaganda. All right, when you read it, you see how terrible it is. And basically, Virgil, who was the most famous poet in the Roman Empire at this time, he's being ordered by Augustus Caesar to write the Iliad. And they write it together, basically. Basically, with each draft, Virgil has to read it to Augustus Caesar, and then Augustus Caesar tells him how to rework it so it captures the Roman spirit. When Virgil was about to die, he asked for the book to be burned, okay? Because he, as a poet, understands that if you are using the gift of God, poetry is the gift of God, to promote hatred, then you're gonna burn in hell, man, okay? So he asked for this book to be burned, but Augustus Caesar, no, I like it the way it is, okay? So this is a rewriting of the Iliad. Now what's gonna happen is this. The Greeks have broken into Troy, and they're killing everyone, okay? And the son of Achilles, named Pyrrhus, is killing the sons of Priam. And Priam faces Pyrrhus, and he tells Pyrrhus, "You're the son of Achilles. Achilles was a noble person. Have you no mercy?" And then Pyrrhus is like, "No." And then he kills Priam, okay? All right, so can you read, please?
Suddenly, look, a son of
Priam.
Priam, Polites just escaped from slaughters as Pyrrhus' hands, comes racing in through spears, through enemy fighters, fleeing down the long arcades and deserted hallways, badly wounded. Pyrrhus hot on his heels, a weapon poised for the kill, about to seize him, about to run him through and pressing home as Polites reaches his parents and collapses, vomiting out his lifeblood before their eyes.
Okay, so this is very similar to the death of Hector, right? So remember, Achilles kills Hector and Priam witnesses it, right? And something is happening here where Polites is being killed in front of Priam. So again, it's a rewriting of the Iliad. Keep on going.
At that, Priam, trapped in the grip of death, not holding back, not checking his words, his rage, "You," he cries, "and you and your vicious crimes. If any power on high recoils at such an outrage, let the gods repay you for all your reckless work. Grant you the thanks, the rich reward you've earned. You've made me see my son's death with my own eyes. Defiled a father's sight with a son's lifeblood. You say you're Achilles' son, you lie. Achilles never treated his enemy, Priam, so. No, he honored as suppliant's right. He blushed to betray my trust. He restored my Hector's bloodless corpse for burial, sent me safely home to the land I rule."
Okay, so this is the end of the Iliad, okay? So he's reminding everyone the Iliad is a story about love, forgiveness, compassion. Okay? Keep on reading.
With that and with all his might, the old man fling his spear, but too impotent how to pierce. It merely grazed Fire's brazen shield that blocks its way and clings there, dangling limp from the boss, all for nothing. Pyrrhus shouts back, "Well then, down you go, a messenger to my father. Peleus' son. Tell him about my vicious work, how
Neoptolemus
degrades his father's name, don't you forget. Now die." That said, he dragged the old man straight to the altar, quaking, slithering on through slicks of his son's blood, and twisting Priam's hair in his left hand, his right hand sweeping forth his sword, a flash of steel. He buries it hilt deep in the king's flank. Such was the fate of Priam, his death, his lot on earth, with Troy blazing before his eyes, her ramparts down, the monarch who once had ruled in all his glory the many land of Asia, Asia's many tribes. A powerful trunk is lying on the shore, the head wrenched from the shoulders, a corpse without a name.
Okay, so all Roman school children have to memorize this poetry. And obviously, if you are a Roman school child, and you know that Priam is one of your ancestors, you have a deep hatred of the Greeks, okay? So the entire purpose of the Aeneid is to create hatred of the Greeks in order to create a Roman identity. All right, so again, the Greeks were the greatest civilization we ever had. Why? Because they were a civilization based on reflection, on debate, on openness. This is a modern reenactment of the play, The Trojan Woman, okay? This is a play by Euripides that discusses what happens to the Trojan woman after Troy falls. They become enslaved, the children are killed. And so the Greeks, when they watch this play, they have to watch their own darkness. They have to see for themselves their own heart of darkness. It causes tremendous empathy for their enemies, okay? This is the very idea of civilization. And what do the Romans do? They do this, okay? Gladiators. They watch lions eat people. They watch men kill each other, okay? That's the Roman way. The Greeks want to understand and feel empathy for other people. The Romans just want to kill other people, all right? And in America today, we have a very similar Roman culture as well. This is American football, of course, and it is pretty violent, okay? It is pretty barbaric. All right, the Greeks, for fun, what their elite do is they organize dinner parties called symposium. And in the symposium, what happens is that people come together and they have conversations about love, about poetry, about life. They will drink wine, but the wine is watered down, okay? So they can keep on drinking for a long, long time. And the entire argument is just to have a conversation, all right? All right, and so this is the idea of the symposium. Okay, this is a famous painting of Alcibiades coming in and having discussion with everyone. So in Athenian culture, what's important is to be a great speaker, to be intelligent, to engage people in debate and conversation and philosophy. Okay? And what do the Romans do instead? They get drunk and they throw up and they have orgies. Okay, so what Romans do for fun is they have these huge feasts, these huge banquets. And what they will do is they will gobble on the food in the first course, they'll go outside and throw up. Okay? They will throw up the food so they can enjoy the second course. They will wolf down the food and then go and throw up again, okay? And guys, this is while people on the streets starving to death, okay? Okay? This is the Roman way, okay? So this is the feast. This is almost a reenactment of the rape of Sabine woman, right? So they take these myths. So the death of Lucretia, Mucius burning his hand, the rape of the Sabine woman, and they use it as entertainment for their societies, okay? So this is really the beginning of secret societies, right? So what secret societies do is they will take these myths and reenact them out in order to build solidarity and trust and cohesion among the secret members. This is a picture of Nero just getting drunk, having a lot of sex, okay? So it's pretty pointless existence. And of course, in America, you have this. I don't understand why is it that people think it's fun to do drugs, get drunk, and then go party all night, okay? But apparently it's supposed to be a lot of fun. Okay,